Imagine that you and your partner are attending a crucial event, and you would like to wear a blue shirt, but your partner wants you to wear a black shirt instead. How would you negotiate this situation? Many people would argue that a win-win scenario is always the best in a negotiation. If so, could you please explain what the win-win scenario in this example would be? Are you going to wear the blue shirt for half of the event and wear the black shirt for the other half? That would be ridiculous, and that is precisely how Chris Voss thinks. Chris is the author of a New York Times best-selling book called Never Split the Difference: Negotiate as if your life depends on it. He has worked for more than 20 years as a hostage negotiator for the FBI, dealing with kidnappers, bank robbers, and extreme terrorists. He found that the knowledge he gained as a hostage negotiator is also applicable to a wide range of business and personal life situations, since the fundamentals of human negotiations are essentially the same in any situation. Regardless of age, gender, and ethnicity, negotiating with a terrorist and negotiating with a businessman is based on the same principles. We are always negotiating. For example, when you want to send your kids to bed early, or when you want to convince a friend to go to a different restaurant, all of our life is a negotiation. Chris says that negotiation is not about your way or my way. Negotiation is about finding a third way that makes both of us happy. For example, let's say two of your kids are fighting over chocolate, and they cannot divide it. It doesn't matter how you divide the chocolate, they are both unhappy and think the other side got more. The third way solution in this situation is to ask one kid to divide the chocolate equally and the other kid to pick first. In this video, I will share with you the 5 lessons I learned from the book that will help you become a better negotiator. Lesson 1: Understand first. Under every negotiation lies a fundamental truth: people want to be understood and accepted. What's the most effective thing we can do to get there? Listening. By listening genuinely, you demonstrate empathy and the sincere desire to understand what the other side is experiencing. Does it sound easy to you? Well, you cannot imagine how many people fail to listen correctly. When the other side is talking, instead of listening, they are thinking about what they will say later. When the other side stops, they give their response regardless of what the person just said. The other side starts thinking, she didn't even listen to what I said. Have you experienced this? I'm sure you have. Sometimes you talk to someone and feel like you're talking about different topics. People often shout in negotiations because they feel that they have not been heard. There are 3 things everyone wants in a negotiation: to be understood, to be respected, and then to get what they want from the negotiation. If you fail at listening, don't expect success from the negotiation. Lesson 2: Negotiation is a discovery, not a battle. People who view negotiation as a battle of arguments become overwhelmed by the voices in their heads. The truth is, negotiation is not a battle, it's an act of discovery. Your objective is to uncover what the other side wants. Is it money, time, respect, recognition, etc.? You must get it out. The author recommends several tactics. The first one is simply smiling. When you smile at someone, it's like reaching out to their brain and switching on the positivity light. Guess what? We are 31% smarter when we are in a positive state of mind, which also means that if we are in a negative state of mind, it makes us 31% dumber. The second tactic is mirroring. Mirroring is simply repeating the last 3 of the most critical words of what your opponent has just said. For example, if your opponent says, "I have a very high expectation and want more money," you can say, "Want more money?" This may feel strange at first, but if you put it into practice, it will work like magic. Mirroring makes the other person vomit information. It's much more powerful than saying, "What do you mean by that?" When you say, "What do you mean by that?" you give your opponent a break to think and correct himself. On the other hand, mirroring makes the conversation go smoothly and will make your opponent reveal more information to you. After you have mirrored, stay silent for at least 4 seconds and let the mirroring do its magic. Lesson 3: Tactical Empathy. Tactical empathy is understanding the feelings and mindset of the other person and hearing what is behind those feelings. Especially focus on identifying the emotional obstacles that are standing in the way of agreement. Once you have identified the emotion, label it. Labeling simply means you summarize what your opponent just told you and give it back to them. Labels always start with phrases like "it seems like" or "it sounds like." For example, if you see that your opponent talks very passionately about his parents, in order to label it, you simply say, "It seems like you care a lot about your parents." Then stay silent and let the label do its magic. Labeling is effective for 2 reasons. First, it helps you confirm that you have identified the right emotion. Second, it signals to your opponent that you truly understand them, which creates a stronger bond and makes your opponent like you. If a person likes you, it's 6 times more likely that you will have a deal. Empathy brings 2 brains together. The moment you feel empathy and see that there's something that makes me collaborate with you, then your brain power and my brain power get together to solve the problem. Another tactical empathy method is called diffusing negativity with labels. This works particularly well if you are aware that your opponent dislikes you. Sit down and consider all the terrible things your opponent might say to you during the meeting or negotiation. Then, after you have determined all the negative feelings, label them. For instance, let's say your client is highly dissatisfied because your business missed the deadline and failed to fulfill what was promised. Based on this, you know that your client thinks that you are unreliable and unable to keep promises. So, as soon as you start the meeting, you can diffuse the negative thoughts by saying, "It might seem like we're screwing you and we're not capable of keeping our promises and delivering what you want. Because of this, you might even consider not doing business with us anymore, and you're absolutely right to think this way." The moment you say this, your opponent will think, "Wow, she thinks like I do. I kind of like her." If you did not diffuse the negative, your opponent will spend hours explaining how bad he feels. However, now that you have diffused all the negatives, your opponent will be more focused on the solution rather than complaining. So, help your opponent get rid of the negative feelings, then you will have much better results. Lesson 4: Start with no. Pushing hard for a yes doesn't get you any closer to a victory. Contrary to popular belief, no is the start of the negotiation, not the end of it. When you say yes to something, you feel committed or trapped. For example, if I come to you and say, "Can we talk for 5 minutes?" and you immediately say yes, automatically your brain will start saying, "How long are 5 minutes actually going to be? Am I going to talk with her for 1 hour and go home late? Is she going to send me his stupid idea again?" Those distractions in your mind stop you from focusing on the negotiation. You just want to get out of there as soon as possible. On the other hand, if I come to you and say, "Is it a bad time to talk for 5 minutes?" you will probably say, "No, it's not, but let me finish this and that and meet you in 15 minutes at my desk." Okay, since you started with no, you feel safe because you didn't commit to anything. Plus, saying no gives control to you because it was you who said, "Let's meet in 15 minutes." If you feel in control, it will help you think faster and focus without distractions. Otherwise, when you said no, you answered 2 to 3 upcoming questions by yourself. I didn't have to ask you where to meet or when to meet because you gave me everything I wanted without even working for it. Lesson 5: Harness the power of "that's right." "That's right" is one of the most powerful phrases in negotiation. To get that answer, you must simply take your opponent's words and repeat them back to them. You might say, "Is it that simple?" Sounds like a stupid thing to do. But actually, it puts the other side's empathy on steroids. If you get that "that's right," then you can be sure that the deal is almost done. That's right is what we say when we feel completely heard and believe that the other side really understands us. We also say "that's right" at some moments. please be careful. If you get your right in those moments, it means you failed completely. The difference between these two phrases is tiny, but the implication is huge. When somebody says you're right, they're most likely trying to get rid of you or end the conversation. Dealing with people is one of the hardest jobs out there, and you can be perfect at your job, but if you have poor people skills, it's highly likely that you will have a tough time at work. It can also apply to your personal life. If you want to improve your people skills, then check out the video you see on your screen. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Remember, with reading and education, everything in your life will always get better.